What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the long-awaited Season 15 Yone guide. So this is going to be more of a mini guide because I didn't want to release like a huge guide yet, because in the past seasons they definitely do like a lot of changes a couple patches after the season started. I don't know why they do that, but one time I was like making a guide and then they just like changed everything like one patch in. I was like, okay, well now it's useless. So have you ever wanted to improve in League at a drastically faster pace than you are right now? Well, Skill Gap is designed to achieve this for you. It is basically an aim trainer but for League of Legends, helping you sharpen all of your core fundamentals based on your performance. Skill Gap covers all of the key fundamentals of the game, from spacing, aiming skill shots, kiting, and many exercises that combine all of these things together. The exercises included in Skill Gap will directly translate into actual scenarios in a real game of League. And since you could change the difficulty in Skill Gap, your training will be even harder than the real thing, making an actual League game feel even easier for you. Their advanced algorithm will actually figure out a personalized routine for you and give you tasks that it finds you need the most practice with. If you want to be the best and have the advantage over others trying to improve, then click the link in the description below to join Skill Gap for free.
Death is like the wind, always by my side.
Yeah, we're just going to start with a mini guide, but this is like the most important thing anyway, just the build and the runes. But I will say in advance, not a lot has changed. So yeah, let's get into it. The starter items still the same: D shield if you're against ranged, and D blade if you're against a melee. Obviously this isn't always the case. Like let's say you're against Rumble, that is a melee champ, so you're gonna go D shield. But yeah, nothing changed with this. So I have 4 main builds that I do at the moment. So this is the main one. So what you're gonna find a little weird here, or some of you, is that we don't build Infinity Edge. So I really do not like building Infinity Edge with Bork. So because it's just way too expensive. Imagine building Bork, Shield Bow into IE. It's way too much money. So yeah, I usually opt for Mortal Reminder just because it's a cheaper option. It is a little less damage into like full squishies, but if they're full squishy and you have Bork, Shield Bow, 100% crit, you don't really need the Infinity Edge anyway. So yeah, this is just the main default build that I do like 90% of the time. Okay, so this is a new build that I've seen Pzzzang do and some other like Korean, Chinese players. So it's gonna be a lot less damage. So if you really want that like 1v9 build in like skirmishes, it's gonna be a little less 1v9 just because the damage is like not there, right? Because Bork into Hullbreaker isn't too much damage. It's surprisingly a lot more damage than you think though. So yeah, they've been doing this build. I tested it out. I kind of like it, but yeah, I would do this if you're against more of a squishy team or you just want to split push a lot, because obviously Hullbreaker makes your split push really amazing. But yeah, just compare these two items, Hullbreaker and Shield Bow, way less damage. You don't get the crit. It's 15 less AD, but you get 500 health. The movement speed is like kind of nice, and yeah, the split pushing and the turret damage goes on champions too. So it's basically this is like the Stridebreaker build, but they nerfed Stridebreaker so many times, so now they basically just swapped to this. So if you want a tankier option, if you really like split pushing, definitely try out this build. And third item is usually always Shield Bow, just because it gives you that more defense. You don't really want to build Infinity Edge with just one crit item, and yeah. Okay, another build. I don't do this build too often. This is more of like an experimenting build, but I know a lot of people that do like this build. Yeah, I got this from he told me to call him like Saita. He's like on the Yone subreddit, so if you know that guy, he calls it the sex build. Huh? Because you go like in and out or something, I don't know. But anyways, you go Navori into IE into Situational. Usually I go Death Stance just because it gives you that extra damage, gives you that tankiness, it's all good. Feels pretty good. I would do this into someone that like, or a whole team that doesn't stack like any frontline, any tankiness, and you really want that 100% crit. So I've done it a couple times. It's really fun. Navori is just a really fun item on Yone. So definitely try that out if you are a fan of getting 100% crit in 2 items. But I will note that it is fairly weak until you get like Navori into BF Sword. So just keep that in mind. Oh, and for all these builds, obviously you just rush Berserkers. But in this one, you technically could just go Navori first. It's not that bad over the boots. And then you finish the boots second. And my last build, this is for if you really want boots. And you're going to see that these boots are looking a lot different, which I'll get to it at the end. But yeah, they changed boots. So if you really want to build defensive boots that aren't Berserkers, because there's going to be a reason for it, or more of a reason, which I'll get to at the end, you're going to go Bork into Navori because this gives you enough attack speed. Then you could just skip the boots. You don't need Berserkers, right? So then you can go either Tabby or Mercs, and yeah, that's about it. All right, new boots. Here they are right now. So basically the biggest change that they did in Season 15 is after you do like 2 feats, they're called, you get to upgrade your boots as a team. But only one team gets to do it, and the feats are First Blood, First Turret, and... it's like 4 objectives. So if you clear 4 objectives, get First Blood, or first turret, if you do any of those two first, whichever team does first gets to upgrade their boots. So these upgrades are actually pretty good, but I'm gonna have to say that the Mercs and the Tabbies are a lot better. So with Berserkers, you get 15% more attack speed, which is really nice. So this is gonna be really nice if you're doing like these builds like Bork, and that's the only attack speed item you're getting, right? Because like we've gotten nerfed so many times in the past that we've always hated, like, oh, you have Berserkers, Bork, and you're still not at 1.3 attack speed, right? So this is gonna feel really good, getting that 15% extra attack speed. You're gonna be at 1.3 at 2 items again, just like old times, you know. And basically it's just Zephyr. Every single time you auto attack, you get movement speed, and yeah, so it feels pretty good. But the thing is, let's say you're against all AD or against all AP, these boots are insane. So they give more armor or more MR, whichever one you're taking. I think this one gives, is it more tenacity? No, it's the same tenacity. So yeah, it goes from 20 MR to 35. This one goes from 25 armor to 40. So 15 more each. But the thing that's really OP thing about it is that after taking physical damage from a champion, gain a physical shield for 4 seconds. So it doesn't say it on the tooltip, but I'm pretty sure when I was playing on PvE, this was like 200 to 300 physical shield every 4 seconds. So this is insane. When I was doing it on PvE, this was, again, just insane. Getting a 300, 200 physical shield every 4 seconds. So let's say you're against like an all AD, you're against like Zed, Talon, Jungle, and everyone else is all AD. Having these boots, so this is where this build comes in. You go Bork, Navori, and then you get to go those steel caps. So not only do you have the reduced damage, 12%, and more armor, but you also get a massive armor shield. So these boots are absolutely insane. We're probably going to see them get nerfed like patch number 1, because again, how is this balance? We could already agree that Tabbies were insane, bro. So now when you're playing Yasuo Yone, you're against someone who gets these boots, you're losing early game. Not only do they block 12% of your damage, but they also get a 200 shield. So have fun with that. That's gonna be a bit insane. So yeah, again, if you're against all AD, all AP, you could opt for this build to get these defensive boots. And if not, you could just get these boots, which really help these other builds, because you get 1.3 very, very fast. So yeah, those are all the builds. And now we're just gonna talk about situational items. So there's a lot I put here. Obviously, some of them look kind of weird. And yeah, let's just talk about them. So first we have Zeke's conversions. So this one is actually used. I was looking at onetricks.gg, which is a site that shows like the highest Yone or whatever champ you're looking at. And the highest Yone player was actually going Zeke's third like every single game. So it sounds troll. You're like, wait, this is a support item. Why is he doing that? Basically think of it like a Jack show, but wait, do I even have Jack show here? Oh yeah, it's right here. So think of it like a Jack show that costs like 1,000 less. It's a mini Jack show that does damage. So you're getting 25 armor, 25 MR over the 45. This is way tankier, but it's so much cheaper, and you're actually getting damage and a slow on your ulti. So this would be good as like a third item or maybe fourth item if you just really want a cheap option to get to your fourth item faster. So yeah, I've tried it out. It's pretty fun. But this isn't going to cap your build. Like, this isn't going to be like the strongest full item build. So if you want like a cheaper option, let's say you're like opting into this build where like you go Infinity instead of Mortal, because like you're just a Mortal Minder hater and you love IE. You go Bork, Shield Blow, IE, then you can go that fourth, because going Jack Show fourth, it's going to be way too much money. So yeah, definitely try that out. It feels really, really fun. Next we have Serpent's Fang. This is going to be like 1 in 1 million games. I think I've done it one single time the last like 2 seasons combined. But yeah, if no one else is building shields and you're just playing, it's like a whole shield comp, you could build it. It feels really, really bad, but if you really need it, then yeah, again, like 1 in a million, probably never going to build this. Next we have Navori. This is for builds that don't use it. Like, let's say you're going like, well, I guess it's just for, I don't know why I put this under situational, because it's only going to be used in this build. Because if you want the extra boots, then yeah, or if you get it first, because you're not going to build it later on. So yeah, let me actually take this out of situational. All right, next we have Terminus. This is going to be more of a last item. I actually got like a question in my stream a couple days ago asking like why Terminus like isn't that good on Yone. The reason why it's not that good is just because it's not that it's not good. It's just that you always need an item more than Terminus. Like let's look at these builds. Like, you want to get your first item, which is usually Bork, then crit, get 100% crit, get a tanky item, and it's like this doesn't fit that category. So if anything, you would build this last. Like let's say you didn't build Mortal Reminder, you already have 100% crits. You can get this for that pen if you need it, and it'll give you that extra tankiness. But it's only going to give you that extra tankiness that's nice once you already have like an HP item. So yeah, it's not a bad item. It's just going to be a lost item usually. Visage. This item is not very good on Yone. It sounds good just because like shields and heals and all that. I'm not going to say it's not a good item, but there's usually a better item, and I would only build this in situations where like you have Ocean Soul plus Soraka on your team, or like plus a Janna, stuff like that. You have like a lot of shielding, a lot of healing on your team. Then Visage is just going to be like really good for those situations. I'm actually going to skip this, talk about this last, because this is like the only item that they changed that we can actually talk about. Yeah, that's another thing to know. This is pretty boring. Basically, the only new things in this season for items for us is just the boots and this one item. So kind of boring. Kind of wish they changed more, but it is what it is. Next we have Randuin's. You're just going to do this against, this one's obvious. If you're against like a Tryndamere plus 2 other crit champions, they have 3 crit champs. Randuin's feels pretty good. Wits End going to be if you really need the tenacity. This is actually a good third item. I've seen them build this in Korea a lot more. So if you're going like Bork, Shield Bow, and they have like 3 AP with a lot of CC, you can go Wits End third, and then save the 100% crit for your 4th item. It's perfectly fine. It makes it so it's really hard for mages to deal with you if they stack a lot of AP. Oh, they actually changed this item too, so that's at the end. This item is just like the best MR item. Gives you a shield, gives you 80 MR, 400 health. So if they somehow build like 4, or not build, if they have 4 AP champs on the enemy team, then this is always probably the best MR item. So you can opt for that. Basically, if you want to, this would be replacing Jackshow in the build if they're all AP. You could just go this, 80 MR, and pretty much invincible. But you're not really going to be versing team comps that have all AP anyway, or they probably lost anyway. Then we have Iceborne, which is still the same item. It just gives you some damage. This would, again, replace Jackshow if they're all AD. Because it's just all armor, it's cheaper, and it does damage. So, feels pretty good. Lord Doms, this will replace Mortal Minder if they really have 0 healing, which is pretty rare, but it's a cheaper option and gives you a little bit more damage. So if they really have zero healing, then replace it with Lord Doms. Edge of Night, this one, again, very rare item. I haven't even really built this, but if there's a situation, let's say they have like a lot of CC, and you feel like you are the only person on your team doing anything, and you have to be the engaged. We all know those comps where they just have a lot of CC, and you can never even like 3rd Q in, or you just get hit by like some sort of hard CC like anti-Q and you're just dead. So this will help for those situations, but again, very rare. Probably not really gonna build that, but those will be the situations you build that. GA, this is just a solid item. I think according to stats, it's the highest win rate item on Yone, where it was when I was looking like a while ago. Just because, again, it's solid. You just build this as like a 4th, 5th item. You have 2 lives, and it can make or break, or be the defense of that one team fight that wins the game, because you have 2 lives. And honestly, when people see GA, it makes people like want to focus you less, I swear. So it's good because of that too. Scimitar, just QSS if they have a Malzahar. They have a lot of CC that you can't avoid. Who else can you QSS? I was gonna say Mordekaiser, but they got rid of that. Urgot, I think you can QSS Urgot. So if they have like an Urgot that you can't dodge, if they have a Malzahar, stuff like that. Skarner, well, you can dodge Skarner now. QSS is pretty solid. I put Stridebreaker here just because some people still like it. You go Bork into Stride. But again, I think if you want a build like that, just go Bork into Hullbreaker instead. I think it's just a lot stronger since they nerfed Stridebreaker so much. This is just a better variation. But yeah, this one, if you just want sticking power, which you don't really need, this would be better on Yasuo than Yone. Because Yasuo likes sticking power more than Yone. But in my opinion, Hullbreaker on Yone, Stridebreaker on Yasuo. But that's just my personal opinion. And Jackshow, just a very, very solid item. You build this like 4th, 5th. If you just need HP, armor, MR, like let's say for example, you have Bork, Shield Bow, Mortal, and then they have like a clean mix of AP and AD. You just go Jackshow 4th, feels really good. You have all your damage, you have your tankiness, and yeah. Another solid item being Death's Dance. Again, this is the same item for like patches and patches, seasons and seasons. Just very good item. Blocks all types of damage, turns into a bleed, which is what Yasuo and Yone love. Or we're talking about Yone right now, so Yone. Just very solid, especially when it's paired with Jackshow. Let's say Bork, Shield Bow, Mortal, Jackshow, Death's Dance feels like you're immortal. really hard to ever die. Yeah, definitely a lot more. Think of it as a more 1v9 version of GA, because it's just better stats, cost a little bit more, but it's gonna make you way more 1v9. GA is better if you have like someone else on your team that you can rely on. And then our last old item is just Bloodthirster. I don't really see myself building this item very often, but let's say you're going like this build and you want lifesteal at the end, you can go Bloodthirster. I think it's fine if you don't need the QSS as like a last item. This feels good. Okay, and now we have our two newish items. So let's talk about this one too first, because I don't really think it's very good. But yeah, they changed it. So I don't know what it used to do, but they changed it to nearby enemies take 12% more magic damage. So technically, since Yone does do a split of magic damage, not 50% split, but he does some magic damage on his autos and his W ulti, technically this will increase your damage, but again, I don't think it's really realistic. There's always going to be a better MR item, either this one, Wit's End, even QSS, Visage. So you can definitely try it out since they changed it. It'll give you some extra damage. I don't think it's very good, but who knows. Well, actually, maybe if like you're the only AD on your team and you want your whole team to do like more magic damage, yourself included, maybe it's okay. But yeah, I'll have to try this out. I don't think it's very good, but we'll see. And the last item, this one I actually think could be pretty good. So as we know, the only item in the game that gives armor and MR is Jak'Sho and Zeke's. So those are the two options. But now there's actually a new one, Unending Despair. They changed it. It used to be an only armor item. Now it gives 400 health. Let's just compare the stats with this and Jak'Sho. So we have, it actually gives him more HP. 350, 400, less MR and armor, but it gives 25 armor, 25 MR, ability haste, which is pretty good on Yone for ulti. And every 4 seconds while in combat with champions, deal magic damage to nearby enemies and heal for 250% of damage dealt. So basically, you're just gonna get a heal every 4 seconds. So this is the one that I'm actually pretty hyped about, because I think I might actually start building this instead of Jak'Sho, and it's 400 gold cheaper, which is a lot. That's actually a lot. So I'm gonna be honest, I think this might actually replace Jak'Sho in the build, especially those players that hate items that don't deal any damage, because this is just a pure defensive item, right? No damage. This will actually give you some damage and more healing. So I'm actually pretty hyped for this item. This is, again, probably be like a 4th item, like Bork, Shield Bow, Mortal / IE if you want IE into Unending Despair. Sounds pretty good. So I'm pretty excited for this item. It could just be awful and Jak'Sho could just be better, because again, this is so much more tanky. But the thing I didn't really like about Jak'Sho is that after 5 seconds of player gone back, then you get the bonus. And a lot of times with Yone, you're not going to be in combat for 5 seconds just because how your E works, right? Like you're going to get in, tank the damage, and then get back out, and then it procs. So I'm actually pretty hyped for this item. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, those are all the items and all the new builds. Again, not a lot has changed, but there has been some changes with the boots, and yeah. And now we're gonna quickly talk about the runes, which again, or with runes, not a lot has changed. So I think the main build, or the main rune page, is just tempo, absorb life. If you don't like absorb life, you could take triumph. A lot of people say this rune is fake, but I like it on Yone. I think the only thing that matters, or his only issue, is laning phase. So taking a rune that's good for the laning phase is just very nice. Alacrity as always, and then for these three, this has technically the highest win rate, but if you want cut down for like more lane pressure, you can. I think it's perfectly fine. And then second wind into range, into melee is usually bone plating like Fizz, and then overgrowth. Yeah, it's the main rune page. You can go fleet if you want. I don't really like fleet. I think it's boring. Not as 1v9, but if you are a fleet lover, then you could do it. So yeah, I want to talk about the couple of near runes. These aren't really that interesting just because we can't really get them, but if you want to get them, instead of taking Resolve, you can just take Sudden Impact plus these 3 new runes. So we have 6 Sense, automatically sense a nearby, untracked, unseen ward. So this is actually pretty strong, just being able to see wards, but I think it's not really worth losing like second win and the whole Resolve page just for this. I think this will be a lot better on like junglers and stuff like that. So it's a strong rune, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's a Yone rune. And then we have Grizzly Mementos. Collect 1 memento on champion takedown up to 25. And then gain 4 trinket ability haste for each collected. So this will just make it so you can ward more, I think, and like use your vision trinket more, which again, I don't think it's really worth losing the resolve tree. And our last one is deep wards. It's just your wards will last longer and they have 1 extra HP if you ward enemy jungle. So these runes are pretty strong. I find these runes kind of weird in the domination tree, because the domination tree is all about like being aggressive and like, well, I guess deep wards would be aggressive and like these, okay, it kind of makes sense. But again, they're kind of like just more trinket, seeing wards and longer wards. They feel more utility based, like for supports. So if you want to try out these, you can. I would take like Sudden Impact or maybe Ultimate Hunter or Treasure Hunter. We're gonna take another one, but again, I don't really think these are worth using. And then we have a new Sorc rune. One new Sorc rune. Your ultimate has increased damage, healing, and shielding. Scoring a takedown on an enemy champion reduces your ultimate's current cooldown by 7%. So this one's kind of interesting. Again, just like Axiom Arc. I don't think it's really worth it on Yone, because taking this tree is really awkward. There's nothing else you can really take in it besides this. You could take Gathering Storm, but when you think of Yone, do you think, oh, I need more damage at 20 minutes, 30 minutes? No, not really. So maybe Scorch. I'm not really too sure. But again, I wouldn't really take this rune, but if you want to, it sounds pretty interesting. So yeah, for runes, in my opinion, it's just going to stay the same. Just lethal tempo, like every single game. Maybe grass, but I don't really like it. Or fleet, if you like it. But yeah, that's going to sum up the Yone Season 15 guide. Again, there is going to be a way bigger guide. But I'm going to wait like a patch or two, see if they change a lot of things, because Riot Games usually be doing that. So yeah, that'll be all for today. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.